in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
I think a new world order is emerging.
An inside job? How dare you? How dare you?
To create, so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific caste system.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall never surrender.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you doing? It's the 27th of September 2014. This is UCY.tv with the Solvinur Event. I'm your host, Solvinur. That's Icelandic. My real name is Walter Hendricks. It's 4 p.m. in the Netherlands, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's time for some more real radio. If you go to ucy.tv, mouse over shows, click on any of them, you will end up in the chat room, where you can ask questions. If you do, please put them in capital letters so they easily stand out to me, as I'm reading from the Mahabharata, translated by I don't know who. Yeah. That's the bad thing about this Mahabharata. It's written in a language that's kind of dead. Although I do see the symbols used in that language back on advertisements in India, for instance. Alright? So it's kind of strange that so few people actually know how to read this stuff and properly translate it. Because there are so many different versions out there that you don't know which one is the correct one. So that's bad. That's not good. It doesn't help identifying the truth, so to speak. So, in the chat already, some people are there. Anon37, Dan, Jax, Joe, Vince, Cap, and two Anons. Welcome, everybody. What's up? How you doing? What you been doing this week, huh? Dan is getting coffee. Yeah, I already got coffee. Get yourself something to drink, guys. It's good. Coffee in the morning. So, you can call in if you like via Skype. Send me a contact request and I'll add you if you're not on the list yet. Otherwise, just type to me and say, you want to be on air, I've got something to say, and it doesn't have to be on topic. So contact me, Solvinur, Solvinur, and I'll get you on the air. What's up, Jax? I haven't seen you in a while. What you doing, buddy? Everything okay? Vince is there as usual. So, how you doing, buddy? All right. Let's see what we can do here, right? We are kind of at a new chapter, one could say. This is Adivansavatarana Parva, continued from the last section, but it feels like a new chapter. So let's get into that. Vaisampayana said, not too much, Jax. All right, that's okay. Nothing bad happened then, also, right? Been sleeping a lot, says Jax. Yeah, I have that in the winter. that I sleep more than I do in the summer. I don't know what that is or why that is. Maybe I'm hibernating or something. I don't know. Sleeping is good though. You actually, when you go to sleep, you create these things called serotonin or something like that. And you really need them to be able to function normally during the day. So sleeping is good. Just don't sleep more than 8 hours a day. I think that's bad even. You know, you will stay sleepy for the rest of the day if you sleep more than 8 hours. As a matter of fact, do you guys remember I told you last week about these 3 modes of nature that the Vedas are talking about? They call them goodness, passion, and ignorance from top to bottom. And that's how they implement this caste system. You know, Brahmanas are supposed to be in the mode of goodness. Then Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are a mingling of goodness and passion and even ignorance. And then the lowest class is just pure ignorance, right? I think that's a bad word, by the way. The word ignore is in there. You know, it's not like the quote-unquote ignorant people are in fact ignorant. They are nescient, right? They haven't been told the truth. If you have been told the truth about what's going on in the world, and you ignore that, then you're ignorant, right? Then you slip into denial, because you don't want to face the cognitive dissonance that's going on in your head, right? Or in your heart. So with these 3 modes, how did I get there? I don't remember. Oh yeah, about sleeping. These 3 modes are also connected to how many hours you sleep, they claim. They say that people under the influence of the mode of nature called goodness sleep like 4 hours per day. Under passion, you'd sleep 6 hours, and under ignorance, you'd sleep 8 hours. So that's just a side note, though. All right, let's get into the text here. Vaisampayana said, there was a king of the name of Uparichara. That monarch was devoted to virtue. He was very much addicted also to hunting. All right, it sounds like a contradiction already. If you're that virtuous, how come you're addicted, right? That king of the Paurava race, also called Vasu, conquered the excellent and delightful kingdom of Chedi under instructions from Indra. Some time after, the king gave up the use of arms, and, dwelling in a secluded retreat, practiced the most severe austerities. The gods, with Indra at their head, once approached the monarch during this period, believing that he sought the headship of the gods by those severe austerities of his. The celestials, becoming object of his sight, by soft speeches succeeded in winning him away from his ascetic austerities. Right? So the celestials in this case means the demigods. Right? The god of rain, the god of wind, and so on. The god said, O Lord of the earth, thou shouldst take care so that virtue may not sustain a diminution on earth. What's that supposed to mean? Protected by thee, virtue itself will in return protect the universe. Yeah. What is this about virtue all the time? I don't think the universe needs protection from virtue. It doesn't make any sense. If anything, virtue is something that is happening within the universe. So, sounds more like antibody, right? Seeing the universe as some kind of live thing. And Indra said, O king, protect virtue on earth attentively and rigidly. Yeah. What does that mean? Wage war against those that you think are not virtuous enough in your eyes? Being virtuous, thou shalt for all time behold in afterlife many sacred regions. Yeah? That's what the claim here is. If you're virtuous, then when you die, in the afterlife, you will see many sacred regions. It's dogmatic. And though I am of heaven, and thou art of earth, yet art thou my friend and dear to me. Yeah. That's like saying, well, normally, because I'm from heaven and you are from earth, you're no friend of mine. Yeah. Yet art thou my friend. Yeah. Yet means that normally it wouldn't be like that. I would disagree. I mean, the rain falls for everybody, right? It comes out of the heaven. It's friendly for everybody on earth, you see? Hey, Ben Jovi, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Continuing, and, O King of men, dwell thou in that region on earth which is delightful and abundant in animals. Yeah, why this sentence doesn't make sense to me. Oh, how do I read this? All these commas. O King of men, dwell thou in that region on earth which is delightful, is sacred, full of wealth and corn, is well protected like heaven. Well protected like heaven? What do you mean? There are some guards at the door at the entrance to heaven, or what? God, this is so full of nonsense, right? Which is of agreeable climate, graced with every object of enjoyment, and blessed with fertility. And, O monarch of Jedi, this thy dominion is full of riches, of gems and precious stones, and contains, beside, much mineral wealth. The cities and towns of this region are all devoted to virtue. The people are honest and contented. They never lie, even in jest. Sons never divide their wealth with their fathers and are ever mindful of the welfare of their parents. Well, shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't, parents be like more caring for their children? Lean cattle are never yoked to the plow or the cart or engaged in carrying merchandise. Well, who does it then? And that also implies a low level of technological advancement, right? If you have to say that, well, we don't use animals to plow the earth, right? If it doesn't say like, well, we have machines for that. No, it doesn't say that at all. This probably means some low caste is doing it. On the other hand, they are well fed and fattened. Yeah, so the animals are well taken care of. But if you're a human and you are in trouble, well, that's your karma. That's your own fault, right? Fracking nonsense. In Jedi, the four orders, right? The four orders, those are the castes I told you about, are always engaged in their respective vocations, right? So Brahmanas are the priests. They are to make sure that sacrifices and things go well. Kshatriyas are the warriors. Vaishyas are the people supposed to take care of the economics. And the Sudras, who make sure the earth provides enough food for everybody. All right, let nothing be unknown to thee that happens in the three worlds. All right, three worlds. I've heard this explanation that it's past, present, future. There's a better explanation, though. They're talking about the different states of planets that there are. There are the higher planets, the middle planets, and the lower planets. See, those are the three worlds. We here on Earth, according to the mythology, are in one of the middle-ranged planets. Alright, where were we? I shall give thee a crystal car, right? Such as the celestials alone are capable of carrying the car through midair. Right, so you're taking the car to carry it through the air instead of other way around, like you're being carried? Doesn't make sense, right? I shall give thee a crystal car, such as the celestials alone are capable of carrying the car through midair. Why carry the car? Does it make any sense? Thou alone of all mortals on earth, riding on that best of cars, shall course through midair like a celestial endued with a physical frame. I shall also give thee a triumphal garland of unfading lotuses. That's a string of flowers for around your neck. With which on in battle thou should not be wounded by weapons. Oh yeah, like a bunch of flowers is gonna keep you from getting wounded, right? Oh, and, O king, this blessed and incomparable garland, that's a string of flowers, wildly known on earth as Indra's garland, shall be thy distinctive badge. So you're tagged like a dog, right? You got a badge now. The slayer of Vritra, somebody in the chat says, it's probably giving an answer to the question, what's going on here? Banjo, says Dan, from the Urban Dictionary, yeah. Catmatic, the individual who attacks the dogmatic opinions. Oh, that would be me then. Dogmatic? I am drop dead sexy. Catmatic? Bitch, please everyone know you got plastic surgery. Well, dogmatic to me is more like tied to religion, right? Dogmatic is the most simple way I can explain it to you is you're born in a Christian family and your parents tell you God exists. And you accept that. And you start saying God exists because your parents told you so. It's kind of like an appeal to authority, but it's also dogmatic. Right? That's the best understanding I can give you of the word dogma. Yeah, just accepting things because it's written down somewhere or whatever. What, that was funny now? I'm sorry, guys. Blah, blah. Where was I? The slayer of Vritra also gave the king, for his gratification, a bamboo pole for protecting the honest and the peaceful. Yeah. Like you're gonna use a stick for protecting the honest and the peaceful. Sounds like a rod from the Bible, right? Thy staff and thy rod comfort me. Oh my God. After the expiry of a year, the king planted it in the ground for the purpose of worshipping the giver thereof, Sakra. What the hell? What or who is Sakra? From that time forth, O monarch, all kings, following Vasu's example, began to plant a pole for the celebration of Indra's worship. Alright, Jax, I'll keep that in mind. After erecting the pole, they decked it with a golden cloth and scents and garlands and various ornaments. Can you believe that? It's a fracking stick. And then you're gonna put gold over that. You know? Is that crazy or what? Hold on, guys. Let me get a sip of my coffee here. And the god Vasava is worshipped in due form with such garlands and ornaments, right? So the stick is now a god Vasava. And the god, for the gratification of the illustrious Vasu, assuming the form of a swan, came himself to accept the worship thus offered. And the god, beholding the auspicious worship thus made by Vasu, that first of monarchs, was delighted and said unto him, those men and king also who will worship me and joyously observe this festival of mine, like the king of Chedai, shall have glory and victory for their countries and kingdoms. Yeah. Sounds rather strange to me, right? Those men and king also who will worship me. Arrogant frack, huh? Their cities also shall expand and be ever in joy, right? He's an arrogant frack. Why? Because he thinks that because he's some demigod, all kings should joyously worship him. All right? When in truth, according to their own philosophy, there's no difference between an ant or a flea or a tree and Indra, the most high of the demigods. There's no difference at all. It's all just form. There's no real difference according to their own philosophy, right? So why be so arrogant and say, well, you should worship me? Going on, King Vasu was thus blessed by the gratified Magavat, the high-souled chief of the gods. So, probably another name for Indra, Magavat. Indeed, those men who cause this festivity of Sakra to be observed with gifts of land, of gems and precious stones, gifts to who? Become the respected of the world, and King Vasu, the lord of Chedais, bestowing boons and performing great sacrifices and observing the festivity of Sakra, was much respected by Indra. And from Chedai he ruled the whole world virtuously. And for the gratification of Indra, Vasu, the lord of the Chedais, observed the festivity of Indra. Alright, so it's saying here that there was in the past a king that ruled the whole world. What does that mean? Did they know that there was a land called today America? Or was it that they didn't even know there was such a land? Or Australia, for instance? Was it that they didn't even know there was such a land and thought that India was the whole world? And Vasu had 5 sons of great energy and immeasurable prowess, and the emperor installed his sons as governor of various provinces. And his son Vrihadrata was installed in Magadha and was known by the name of Maharata. Another son of his was Pratyagraha, and another Kusamva, who was also called Manivahana. And the 2 others were Mavela and Yadu, of great prowess and invincible in battle. Yeah, invincible in battle, right? We've heard that before. Yet still they die. These, O monarch, were the sons of that royal sage of mighty energy. And the 5 sons of Vasu planted kingdoms and towns after their own names and founded separate dynasties that lasted for long ages. Yeah. We should probably keep in mind that as far back as this goes, according to their own mythologies, these people lived long lives, all right? At least 1,000 years, maybe 10,000 or longer. And when King Vasu took his seat in the crystal car, now what the heck is that crystal car? It doesn't make any sense. And crystal, reminds me of stone. And what does stone remind you of? Right? And when the King Vasu took his seat in that crystal car with the gift of Indra, that's his garland, and coursed through the sky, he was approached by Gandharvas and Ashparas, the celestial singers and dancers. I've seen Gandharvas being translated as elves, but elves are like wood animals, or not animals, wood beings. So why they are now celestial? Celestial means like heavenly or in the sky. Yeah, strange, huh, Jax? What is it with that car? I mean, seriously, what Sanskrit word is it that would translate to what we today call a car? With 4 wheels, or even a truck, right? There was no such thing in those days. They probably should have translated this chariot. That sounds more like mythological. Like a chariot of the sun, right? It's being towed on a chariot. That's why it's making... yeah. And as he coursed through the upper regions, he was called Uparichara, and by his capital flowed a river called Suktimati. And that river was once attacked by a life-endued mountain called Kolahala, maddened by lust. Life-endued mountain, right? And so the mountain rises up and attacks. Yeah. These mythologies are so veiled, there's no making out what they're talking about here. And Vasu, beholding the foul attempt, struck the mountain with his foot. And by the indentation caused by Vasu's stamp, the river came out. Yeah. This reminds me of a story of the Bible. Somebody hits a rock with a stick and water comes out. Remember that? The river came out of the embraces of Kolahala. But the mountain begat on the river 2 children that were twins. And the river, grateful to Vasu for his having set her free from Kolahala's embraces, gave them both to Vasu. Right, so mythologically speaking, all I can gather from this is that rivers have their, in Dutch it's oorsprong, what's the English word? I can't find the English word. Have their source in mountains, right? Because that's where the rain falls on, and then it slides down. It's where the snow melts, right? Then the water gathers and creates a river, right? And the sun was made the generalissimo to his forces by Vasu, the best of royal sages and giver of wealth and punisher of enemies. Yeah. What are these enemies they're talking about? Who are they? Where they come from? What's their history? And the daughter called Girika was wedded by Vasu. And Girika, the wife of Vasu, after her menstrual course, purifying herself by a bath, represented her state unto her lord. But that very day the Pitris of Vasu came unto that best of monarchs and foremost of wise men, and asked him to slay deer for their Shraddha. And the king, thinking that the command of the Pitris should not be disobeyed, went hunting, thinking of Girika alone, who was gifted with great beauty, and like unto another Sri herself. See, the king is being commanded here by the Pitris. It's not that the king is the boss. King is of Kshatriya mode, alright? So any Brahmana can tell him what to do. And by the way, same goes for today probably. You know, we still have a king here in the Netherlands. Yeah. You think he's the boss? Because he can dissolve parliament, dissolve our government, just by declaring such. This is a monarchy, right? The Netherlands. People think that he's the boss. Think again, he's not. And the season being the spring, the woods within which the king was roaming had become delightful, like unto the gardens of the king of the Gandharvas himself. Right? The king was just put out there for the people to reign over, right? But he's working for somebody else. The king was put there in place as a kind of medium. Right? Just like government is put there in place like a kind of medium. We can all get mad at the politicians instead of the people behind them. Right? That's it. That's why we have kings. There's no other reason. There were Asokas and Champakas and Chutas and Atimuktas in abundance. What the heck is that? And there were Punagas and Karnikaras and Vakulas and Divya Patalas and Narikelas and Chandanas and Arjunas and similar other beautiful and sacred trees resplendent with fragrant flowers and sweet fruits. Alright, so all those names were names of plants. Alright, now that's kind of useful, right? There you can see that in the past, humans actually studied nature and the plants and their different workings. When to take what plant for what illness, all right? And the whole forest was maddened by the sweet notes of kokila and echoed with the hum of maddened bees. Yeah. And the king became possessed with desire, and he saw not his wife before him. Maddened by desire, he was roaming here and there, when he saw a beautiful asoka decked with dense foliage, its branches covered with flowers. And the king sat at his ease in the shade of the tree. And excited by the fragrance of the season and the charming odors of the flowers around, and excited also by the delicious breeze, the king could not keep his mind away from the thought of beautiful Girika. And beholding that a swift hawk was resting very near to him, the king, acquainted with the subtle truths of Dharma and Artha, went unto him and said, unto the hawk, right? Amiable one, carry thou this seed for my wife Girika and give it unto her. Her season has arrived. Talk about strange ways of getting your wife pregnant, right? The hawk, swift of speed, took it from the king and rapidly coursed through the air. While thus passing, the hawk was seen by another of his species. Thinking that the first one was carrying meat, the second one flew at him. The two fought with each other in the sky with their beaks. While they were fighting, the seed fell into the water of the Yamuna. And in those waters dwelt an Ashpara of higher rank, known by the name of Adrika, transformed by a Brahmana's curse into a fish. As soon as Vasu's seed fell into the water from the claws of the hawk, Adrika rapidly approached and swallowed it at once. The fish was some time after caught by a fisherman. And it was the 10th month of the fish's having swallowed the seed, from the stomach of that fish came out a male and a female child of human form. The fisherman wondered much, and wending unto King Uparijara, for they were his subjects, told him all. Yeah. They said, O king, these two beings of human shape have been found in the body of a fish. The male child amongst the two was taken by Uparijara. That child afterwards became the virtuous and truthful monarch Matsya. After the birth of the twins, the Apsara herself became freed from her curse. For she had been told before by the illustrious one who had cursed her, that she would, while living in her piscatorial form, Pisces, right, give birth to two children of human shape, and then would be freed from the curse. Does this sound like a story about how the stars move, or what's going on here? Then, according to these words, having given birth to the two children and being killed by the fisherman, she left her fish form and assumed her own celestial shape. See? Sounds like a movement from the sign of fishes to another sign, right? Assumed her own celestial shape. See what's going on here? The Apsara then rose up on the path trodden by the Siddhas, the Rishis and Charanas. The fish-smelling daughter of the Apsara in her piscatorial form was then given by the king unto the fisherman, saying, Let this one be thy daughter. The girl was known by the name of Satyavati, and gifted with her great beauty and possessed of every virtue. She is of agreeable smiles, owing to contact with fishermen, was for some time of the fishy smell. Wishing to serve her foster father, she plied a boat on the waters of the Yamuna. While engaged in this vocation, Satyavati was seen one day by the great Rishi Parasara in course of his wanderings, and she was gifted with great beauty, an object of desire, even with an anchorite, and of graceful smiles. Yeah, right, Jax. That's strange, right? And of graceful smiles. The wise sage, as soon as he beheld her, desired to have her. And that bull amongst Munis addressed the daughter of Vasu of celestial beauty, and tapering this, saying, Accept my embrace, O blessed one. Satyavati replied, O Holy One, behold the Rishi standing on the either bank of the river. Seen by them, how can I grant thy wish? Thus addressed by her, the ascetic thereupon created a fog, which existed not before, and which enveloped the whole region in darkness. What does it mean? Created a fog, which existed not before. That's in brackets, right? It says here, thus addressed by her, the ascetic thereupon created a fog. You know, he wants to make it so that only these two people can see each other. Right? Created a fog, which automatically means that it wasn't there before. So why open the brackets here and say, which existed not before? Brackets close. That's double up. And the maiden, hey Zori, what's up? How you doing? And the maiden, beholding the fog that was created by the great Rishi, wondered much, and the helpless one became suffused with the blushes of bashfulness. What the heck? And she said, O Holy One, note that I am a maiden under control of my father. O Sinless One, by accepting your embraces, my virginity will be sullied. O best of Brahmanas, my virginity being sullied, how shall I, O Rishi, be able to return home? Indeed, I shall not then be able to bear life. Actually, if you lose that, you are bearing life. What's going on here? Reflecting upon all this, O illustrious one, do that which should be done. That best of rishis, gratified with all she said, replied, Thou shalt remain a virgin, even if thou grantest my wish. And, O timid one, O beauteous lady, solicit the boon that thou desirest. O thou of fair smiles, my grace has never before proved fruitless. Thus addressed, the maiden asked for the boon that her body might emit a sweet scent, instead of the fish odor that it had. And the illustrious Rishi thereupon granted that wish of her heart. What a fracking strange story, right? Yes, Jax, it's still about the fish girl. Having obtained her boon, she became highly pleased, and her season immediately came, and she accepted the embraces of that Rishi of wonderful deeds. And she thenceforth became known among men by the name of Gandhavati, the sweet-scented one. And men could perceive her scent from the distance of a yojana, and for this she was known by another name, which was Yojana Gandha, one who scatters the scent for a yojana all around. You see there, even in these translations, they use the Sanskrit word yojana, which means a certain distance. And apparently they can't even agree upon how many inches this yojana is supposed to be, right? And the illustrious Parasara, after this, went to his own asylum. And Satyavati, gratified with having obtained the excellent boon in consequence of which she became sweet-scented, and her virginity remained unsullied, conceived through Parasara's embraces. And she brought forth the very day on an island in the Yamuna, the child begot upon her by Parasara, and gifted with great energy. And the child, with the permission of his mother, set his mind on asceticism, and he went away saying, As soon as thou rememberest me, when occasion comes, I shall appear unto thee. And it was thus that Vyasa was born, of Satyas through Parasara. Alright, so this is an important piece in the whole mystery, because Vyasa is the writer of all of this, right? So he's talking about his own birth here. And thus it was that Vyasa was born, of Satyavati through Parasara. And because he was born in an island, how about on an island, right? And because he was born on an island, he was called Dvaipayana, Dvaipa, or island-born. And the learned Dvaipayana, beholding that virtue is destined to become lame by one leg each yuga, she having 4 legs in all, and that the period of life and the strength of men follow the yugas, and moved by the desire of obtaining the favor of Brahman and Brahmanas, arranged the Vedas. See, he's the one that arranged the Vedas. And for this he came to be called Vyasa, the arranger or compiler. Alright, so he's talking here that Vyasa, he knows, right? It says here, and the learned Dvaipayana, that's Vyasa, beholding that virtue is destined to become lame by one leg each yuga. Alright, this has to do with our whole mythology regarding creation myth, for one, and the whole idea about time that they have. They say that this universe goes through 4 time periods, and these 4 time periods are likened to 4 legs of a cow, right? One of the legs of the cow is called truth, Right? That's what I remember. I don't remember exactly the names of the other three. But in the first yuga, all four legs are on the floor, right? And in the second yuga, there's one leg missing. In the third yuga, there's two legs missing. And in the fourth yuga, we've only got one leg to stand on. Right? The boon-giving Great One then taught Sumanta, Jaimini, Paila, his son Sukha, and Vaisampayana the Vedas, having the Mahabharata for their fifth. And the compilation of the Bharata was published by him through them separately. Then Bhishma, of great energy and fame, and of immeasurable splendor, and sprung from the component parts of the Vasus, was born in the womb of Ganga through King Santanu. Alright, so Bhishma is the son of a river. The river takes on, through mythical means of course, a body of a nice woman. You can all see this in the Peter Brooks version, 5.5 hour version of the Mahabharata. If you haven't seen that yet, you're a barbarian. You're a culture barbarian. Yeah. And there was a rishi of the name of Animandevaya, of great fame. Dan, can you keep that out of the chat room? It's ridiculous. It's not on topic. What the heck? Where were we? And he was conversant with the interpretations of the Vedas. Yeah. Interpretations of the Vedas, right? Not what it says. No, there's different interpretations of the words being spoken. Yes, there are. There's a lot of people, for instance, that take all of it literally. And they really believe that there are gods out there called Indra and Shiva and Brahma and Vishnu and Krishna and Rama and so on and so on. Oh, lol, cat. Alright, and then there are others, also known as impersonalists, who will tell you, well, no, those gods don't really exist. They are just representations of nature's forces, for instance. There are also representations of other things. They could be representations of human emotions or human actions, right? So those are all kinds of different interpretations. So he was conversant with the interpretations of the Vedas, was illustrious, gifted with great energy, and of great reputation. And accused of theft, though innocent, the old rishi was impaled. Oh, that's how it goes in those days, right? You get accused and pong, you get impaled. He thereupon summoned Dharma and told him these words. How virtuous, right? Accuse somebody and then poof, dead. Is that virtue? Where's the one supposed to be protecting virtue, right? Where's the guy with the stick, right? He thereupon summoned Dharma and told him these words. In my childhood I had pierced a little fly on a blade of grass, O Dharma. I recollect that one sin, but I cannot call to mind any other. Alright, so here you get an idea of what they think karma is, right? Oh, in my childhood I pierced a little fly. And now he's getting pierced himself. That's the idea that they have about karma. Is that sick or what? I have, however, since practiced penances 1,000-fold. Has not that one sin been conquered by this my asceticism? And because the killing of a Brahmana is more heinous than that of any other living thing, therefore hast thou, O Dharma, been sinful. Right, that's what I said. Where's the protecting forces here, right? Dharma is not paying attention. Thou shalt therefore be born on earth of the Sudra order. So, now Dharma is being cursed. To be born in lowest caste. And for that curse, Dharma was born in the Sudra in the form of a learned Vidura, of pure body who was perfectly sinless. Right? So Vidura plays an important role in the household of King Dhritarashtra. He is advising the king, but he's also telling the Pandavas all the heinous activities of the Kurus so that the Pandavas might live and not be tricked by the Kurus. Alright? And the Sutta was born of Kunti in her maidenhood through Surya. Alright? So Surya is a sun god. And he came out of his mother's womb with a natural coat of mail and face brightened by earrings. Alright, this is Karna. Also known as Sutta, apparently. Right? Karna is like the sixth brother of the Pandavas. But he was born early, and like in the Bible, there's the story of a child being put in a basket and floating on the river. That's what happened to Karna as well. That's what she did when she was impregnated by the sun. She wouldn't dare go back to the palace with this child. So she put him on the river and was found by a chariot driver. And so Sutta, or Karna, the son, S-O-N, of the sun, S-U-N, is known as the son of a chariot driver. Alright? And Vishnu himself, of worldwide fame and worshipped of all the worlds, was born in Devaki through Vasudeva, for the benefit of the three worlds. Alright, this is Krishna, who is born here. He is without birth and death, of radiant splendor, the creator of the universe and the Lord of all. Yeah, see, he is the creator of the universe. You might have heard in the past that Brahma is creator. He creates what's in the universe, right? Not the universe itself. Because maybe, and this is also what the Greeks thought, maybe the universe is infinite. Maybe there is no end to this universe, which means it has always existed. Therefore, Brahma cannot be the creator. Brahma is one who is born within the universe from the lotus of the immortal one. Alright? Indeed, he was the invisible cause of all, who knows no deterioration. Right? Why does it not know any deterioration? Because it's not of a material energy. See, those two energies don't mix. Remember I told you about that last time? He's of an absolute nature. That's why he knows no deterioration. Anything of a material nature, there's no way you do not deteriorate. Alright? Continuing. Who is the all-pervading soul, the center around which everything moves. Right, so there's a claim here that there is a center. The substance in which the three attributes of sattva, raja, and tamas go in here. Right? So that's what I told you about in the beginning. Sattva, raja, and tamas are goodness, passion, and ignorance. The universal soul, the immutable, the material out of which has been created this universe. Alright, so that's a bad translation. It's not material. Those two energies don't mix. The Creator himself, here with a capital C. The controlling Lord, the invisible dweller in every object. He's known as Paramatma, as the invisible dweller in every object, even in atoms. Right? Progenitor of this universe of 5 elements. Right? Remember those 5 elements? Earth, water, air, fire, ether. Those are the 5 most gross elements. It just starts out with that. There are many more elements. Who is united with his 6 high attributes. Right? Those 6 attributes, if you have them fully, you are known as, quote unquote, God. Is the Pranava or Om of the Vedas. Is infinite, incapable of being moved by any force save his own will. Illustrious, the embodiment of the mode of life called sannyasa, who floated on the waters before the creation. See? There is, that's how they see it, right? There is this universe, it's completely empty, it's filled with water, half of it. And God, quote unquote, floats in there. He's lying in there. He's having a bath, so to speak, right? But furthermore, there's nothing. Even Brahma didn't exist. Who is the source whence has sprung this mighty frame? Who is the great combiner, the uncreate, the invisible essence of all, the great immutable, bereft of those attributes that are knowable by the senses, who is the universe itself, without beginning? See? They also claim that there is no beginning of the universe, which means it's eternal, you see? What we've read the last couple of 2 minutes is a good explanation of what actually you can understand to be absolute nature, right? As opposed to material nature. You understand? Who is the universe itself, without beginning, birth and decay, is possessed of infinite wealth. That grandsire of all creatures became incarnate in the race of Andaka Vrishnis for the increase of virtue. 57, almost time for a break, guys. And Satyaka and Kritavarma, conversant with the use of weapons, possessed of mighty energy, well versed in all branches of knowledge, and obedient to Narayana in everything and competent in the use of weapons, had their births from Satyaka and Hridika, and the seed of the great Rishi Bharadvaya of severe penances, kept in a pot, began to develop. Sound like a test tube baby or what? And from that seed came Drona, the pot-born. Yeah, that's what Drona means. Right? Drona also plays an important part in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Alright, 58, what do we do? Let's have a break, guys, and we'll pick this up at the other side of the hour. I will try to grab myself some coffee while the music runs. Alright. So, let's do this. More poker face. Hold on to your hats. Here it comes.
I just want to know. Does anybody out there recognize America today? Do we look like anything of the 1940s or the 1860s? Or do we look like a tyrannical police state? If the answer gets to those questions, there's a problem here. I fight for freedom. Never have I seen so many hearts of people in this world. I've met so many hard people in this world. It's a rise and rise as you flicker in a time and rise in the heart of love and you flicker in the dark. Hear him swing behind you. How do you do? It's well behind you. How do you do? It's right out here. What's going on? You need to lean on real time.
Alright everybody, welcome back. This is the Solvinur Event on UCY.tv. You go to UCY.tv, mouse over shows. You'll get a pull down, click on any of them, you can end up in the chat room. If you have any questions, please put them in capital letters so it'll easily stand out to me. Welcome. People that I haven't seen in the first hour, Del, Hecti, Zori, and Tuanons, welcome, as the rest of you. Alright, so where were we, guys? And from the seed of, thank you, Zori. And from the seed of Gautama, fallen upon a clump of reeds, were born two that were twins. The mother of Ashvatam, called Kripi, and Kripa of great strength. Right, this reminds me of a story in the 10th canto. There's a little baby called Krishna, and he's pulling two trees, and they were twins. They came out of them. They were cursed to be born as trees until they were pulled over by Krishna himself, and thus they were freed. I'm not sure if those are the two talked about here, but that's just what it reminds me of. Then was born Dristadumya of the splendor of Agni himself. he was born from fire. Right? Probably, the story goes like the coffee, Vince, coffee. That fire took on a person's body, right? He's personified, and then impregnates somebody, and then you're born from fire. And the mighty hero was born with bow in hand for the destruction of Drona. And from the sacrificial altar was born Krishna, resplendent and handsome. All right, he was born of Draupadi, apparently. And of bright features and excellent beauty. Then was born the disciple of Prahlada, Nagnajit, and also Suvala. And from Suvala, Jax, who cursed him and why? The trees, you mean, right? Well, the story, I read their story so long ago that it's only a vague memory that I have of it. But if I remember correct, they were cursed by Brahmanas, but I don't know why anymore. So maybe if we ever get to the 10th canto of the life of Krishna, right? You get a whole description of, from the point of him being born until the end, where he is pierced by an arrow on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It's somewhere in there. I don't remember the exact nature of this story of the three twins. Just that he was naughty, all right? Krishna was being naughty, like little boys are, right? He's stealing the butter and all kinds of things, upsetting the neighborhood. And his mother, who was actually his stepmother, right? Because Krishna was born in a jail, and his mother being jailed. That whole story doesn't make sense anyway. It goes like this. There is a king who is a naughty king, right? And at one day, a priest or something like that comes to the king and says, there will be born a glorious being from such and such family, and he will put you down because you are a bad king, right? So, first of all, why would the priest say this, right? Why would the priest inform the king that he's going to be thrown off his throne by a luminous being, right? So the king goes, well, this family, I know them. Let me put them in jail. And so he picks them up and puts them both in a cell, right? Now, if you're a smart king, you would separate the two so they wouldn't be even able to make children, right? So, but he lets it happen. He lets all these children be born, smashes the first 6 babies against the wall. This is a story told to children in India. It's gruesome, right? He smashes the first 6 babies that are born against the wall. The 7th and 8th are Krishna and Rama, right? But at the moment that they are born, somehow all the guards fall asleep. Magically the doors open, and his father is able to walk out with Krishna across the river, bring him to his foster parents, and walk back into jail. Can you believe that? And Rama, the 8th one, is born as a flame, right? So the flame just, travels through the air, through the bars of the prison, and goes out that way. Right? So that's a strange story in itself, right? Of how Krishna is born. But then, as he grows up with his foster parents, he does all kind of naughty things, and his mother gets kind of fed up with him, and he ties him to 2 trees. But Krishna, it's God. He's so powerful. He just walks away and pulls the trees with him. And that's the moment when the curse of these 2 beings ends. And like I said, I'm not even sure if this is the seed from Gautama fallen upon a clump of reeds were born two that were twins. The mother of Ashwatthama, called Kripi, and Kripa of great strength. I'm suspecting it's those two, but I'm not sure again why they were cursed. Maybe we'll get to that, I don't know. Alright, let's continue. Then was born Dristadumya, the splendor of Agni himself. And the mighty hero was born with bow in hand for the destruction of Drona. We did that, right? And from the sacrificial altar was born Krishna, resplendent and handsome, of bright features and excellent beauty. Then was born the disciple of Prahlada. Yeah, it is, Jax. It's really wild stuff. Then was born the disciple of Prahlada, Nangajit, and also Suvala. And from Suvala was born a son, Sakuni, who from the curse of the gods became the slayer of creatures of foe and virtue. And no, not of foe. Who from the curse of the gods became the slayer of creatures and the foe of virtue. Alright, Sakuni is the one who in the palace makes the Pandavas throw a game of dice and lets them lose it all, right? And unto him was also born a daughter, Gandhari, the mother of Duryodhana. Right? Duryodhana, leader of the Kurus, right? And his 100 brothers. And both were well versed in the arts of acquiring worldly profits. And from Krishna was born in the soil of Vichitravirya, Dhritarashtra, the lord of men, right? Dhritarashtra is the king at the moment the battlefield of Kurukshetra takes place. And Pandu of great strength, right, is also born. That's the brother of Dhritarashtra, who leads the kingdom to him because he shot down a tiger, which was not a tiger, and he got cursed because of it, because the tiger was some kind of rishi or whatever. And he went into the woods and gave the kingdom to the blind Dhritarashtra. And from Dvaipayana also born in the Sudra caste, the wise and intelligent Vidura. Alright, so in the previous one it says here, and from Krishna was born Dhritarashtra. Actually, that's Vyasa, right? So don't get confused. Those two are just the same. There's no difference between the two. And from Dvaipayana also born in the Sudra caste, the wise and intelligent Vidura, conversant with both religion and profit, and free from all sins. And unto Pandu, by his 2 wives, were born 5 sons, like the celestials. Yeah. Not from Pandu, though. They were born by demigods, like the god of the wind, and the god of the sun, and the god of fire, who brings forth a woman, the god of fire. The eldest of them was Yudhishthira, and Yudhishthira was born of Dharma, Yama, the god of justice, and Bhima of the wolf's stomach was born of Marut, the god of the wind. See? And Dhananjaya, blessed with good fortune and the first of all wielders of weapons. First of all wielders of weapons? What do they mean with that? That he's like the best in it? Or, you know, like number 1? He's the first that ever took up a weapon. It's still confusing to me. Was born of Indra and Nakula and Sahadeva. Those are your smell and your taste. Of handsome features and ever engaged in the service of their superiors, were born of the twin Aswins. And unto the wise, those are demigods again, the twin Aswins. And unto the wise Dhritarashtra were born 100 sons, Duryodhana and others, and another named Yudhishthira Jutsu, who was born of a Vaishya woman. And among those 101, 11 of them, Dushasana, Dusaha, Durmashana, Vikarna, Chitrasena, Vivinsati, Jaya, Satyavatra, something like that, Urumitra, and Jujutsu by a Vaishya wife were all Maharatras, great car warriors, alright? So anytime you hear car, it's a chariot, you know? It's pulled by horses, that's what it is. It's not a car. And Abhimanyu was born of Subhadra, the sister of Vasudeva through Arjuna, and was therefore the grandson of the illustrious Pandu. And of the 5 Pandavas were born 5 sons by their common wife Panchali. That's another name for her. And these princes were all very handsome and conversant with all branches of knowledge. From Yudhishthira was born Pritivindya, from Vrikodara, Sutta Soma, from Arjuna, Sruta Kirti from Nakula, Satanika, and from Sahadeva, Shrutasena of great prowess, and Bhima in the forest begot on Hidimva a son named Gatakocha. And from Drupada was born a daughter Shikandin, who was afterwards transformed into a male child. Yeah. Shikandini was so transformed into a male by Yaksha named Stuna for the desire of doing her good. Yeah, she wanted to kill a master on the battlefield, right? But women apparently were not allowed, so she was transformed into a male. In that great battle of the Kurus came hundreds of thousands of monarchs for fighting against one another. Yeah, so many kingdoms there were, right? Hundreds of thousands. The names of the innumerable host I am unable to recount even in 10,000 years. I have named, however, the principal ones who have been mentioned in this history. Alright, that's the last section. That's the end of this section. Moving on to the next. Janame Jaya said, "O Brahmana, those thou hast, how do I read this? Those thou hast named, those thou hast named and those thou hast not named. I wish to hear of them in detail, and also of other kings by thousands. And thou of great fortune, it behoveth thee to tell me in full the object for which those Maharatas, equal to the celestials themselves, were born on earth." Vaisampayana said, "It has been heard by us, O monarch, that what thou askest is a mystery even to the gods. I shall, however, speak of it unto thee, after bowing down to the self-born." He's paying his obeisances to Krishna, Vishnu, whatever you want to call it. The son of Jamadagni, brackets open, Parasurama, brackets close, after 21 times making the earth, bereft of Kshatriyas, went to that best of mountains, Mahendra, and there began his ascetic penances, right? This sounds like Rama. He's the one that went around the earth killing all the Kshatriyas, because the Kshatriyas had disobeyed an order given to them by the Brahmanas. Or Brahmanas, I should say. And at that time, when the earth was bereft of Kshatriyas, the Kshatriya ladies, desirous of offspring, used to come, O monarch, to the Brahmanas and Brahmanas of rigid vows, had connection with them during the womanly season alone, but never, O king, lustfully and out of season. And the Kshatriya ladies by thousand conceived from such connection with Brahmanas. Then, O monarch, were born many Kshatriyas of great energy, boys and girls, so that the Kshatriya race might thrive. And thus sprang the Kshatriya race from Kshatriya ladies by Brahmanas of ascetic penances, all right? So Kshatriya race, it's not a race, all right? It's a caste. Hold on, guys. And the new generation, blessed with long life, began to thrive in virtue. And thus were the four orders having Brahmanas and their head re-established. Yeah, see, it's a caste, the four orders, the four castes. And every man at that time went in unto his wife during her season, and never from lust and out of season. Yeah. Make that the cat wise, we say in Dutch. Never in lust, right? Kshatriya is in passion. That's his whole purpose for being. He's a passionate guy. All right? And, O bull of the Bharata race, in some way, other creatures also, even those born in the race of birds, went in unto their wives during the season alone. And, O protector of the earth, hundreds of thousands of creatures were born, and all were virtuous and began to multiply in virtue, all being free from sorrow and disease. Yeah? So that's contrary to what elsewhere is said in the Vedas, is that within this universe there is always disease. Right? That's the claim that's being made. And, O thou of the elephant's tread, this wide earth, having the ocean for her boundaries, with the mountains and woods and towns, was once more governed by the Kshatriyas. Right? Remember, kings come from Kshatriyas. And when the earth began to be again governed virtuously by the Kshatriyas, the other orders, having Brahmanas for their first, were filled with great joy. See, you're placing Brahmanas above the Kshatriyas. No, Jax didn't say race of birds. It was just talking about birds having children. And the kings, giving up all vices born of lust and anger, and justly awarding punishments to those that deserved them, protected the earth. All right. What does it say? Where does it say about birds? Let me check. Yeah, born in the race of birds. You're correct. And, O bull of Bharata race, in some way, other creatures also, even those born in the race of birds, went into their wives. Yeah, well, that just means birds. All right? The race of birds. That does. It seems like a misunderstanding of the word race here by the translator. Right? You got different dog races, right? But not all dogs are belonging to one race, right? Makes sense? So same goes for birds. They don't all belong to the same race. That doesn't make sense. There are different kinds of birds. So I don't know how they are using the word race here. All right, so you heard that. You did hear that correct, Jax. Born of the race of birds. As far as I can tell, this just means all birds. Where were we? And he of 100 sacrifices possessed also of 1,000 eyes, beholding that the Kshatriya monarchs ruled so virtuously, poured down vivifying showers at proper times and places, and blessed all creatures. All right, now they're telling you that the god of rain, he's satisfied, and therefore it rains. All right, so yet today, with all the wars going on, he still seems to be satisfied because it's still raining, isn't it? Make any sense to you? Then, O king, no one of immature years died, no child death, and none knew a woman before attaining to age. Oh, that's how controlled the whole society was, right? You didn't even know a woman before attaining to age. And thus, O bull of Bharata the earth, to the very coasts of the ocean, became filled with men that were all long-lived. Right? So they're talking about a time long, long ago, according to their own mythologies, where people lived like 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years, depending on what yuga you were born in. The Kshatriyas performed great sacrifices, bestowing much wealth, and the Brahmanas also all studied the Vedas with their branches and the Upanishads. And, O king, no Brahmana in those days ever sold the Vedas, that is, taught for money, or ever read about the Vedas in the presence of a Sudra. See? Talk about withholding information, right? The Sudra, you and me, we belong to the Sudra class. We're not allowed to know this stuff. That's what it says here. Brahmanas wouldn't teach the lowest of the classes. Talk about control of information, right? The Vaishyas, one class higher than us, with the help of bullocks, caused the earth to be tilted. Yeah. And they never yoked the cattle themselves. And they fed with care all cattle that were lean. And men never milked cow as long as the calves drank only the milk of their dams. Brackets open. Without having taken to grass or any other food. Brackets close. And no merchant in those days ever sold his articles by false scales. So, what is being said here is that there was a time when we used to weigh gold and silver via scales, right? Using it to buy and sell. And, O tiger among men, all persons holding to the ways of virtue did everything with eyes set upon virtue. And, O monarch, all the orders were mindful of their own respective duties. All right, is that so? How is a Sudra mindful of his own respectful duties if he's not getting taught by the Brahmanas what exactly his duties are? How is he supposed to know then, right? Thus, O tiger among men, virtue in those days never sustained any diminution. It looks to me like they're talking about the first yuga, where people live 100,000 years. And, O bull of the Bharata race, both cow and women gave birth to their offspring at the proper time. See how women are compared to cows here? Yuck. It's really dehumanizing, isn't it? And trees bore flowers and fruit duly according to the season. Yeah, duh, that's in their nature. You don't find apples on a tree in the winter. And thus, O king, the Krita age, having thus duly set in, the whole earth was filled with numerous creatures. They're talking about a certain yuga here. And, O bull of the Bharata race, when such was the blessed state of the terrestrial world, the Asuras, those are like demon-like creatures, I think, O Lord of men, began to be born in kingly lines, and the sons of Daityas began being repeatedly defeated in war by the sons of Aditya, and deprived also of sovereignty in heaven, began to be incarnated on the earth. Again, this talk about war, right? It's as if the people in those days had nothing better to do than wage war against each other. And, O king, the Asuras, being possessed of great powers and desirous of sovereignty, began to be born on earth among various creatures, such as cow, horses, asses, camels, buffaloes, among creatures such as Rakshasas and others, and among elephant and deer. What the heck, right? And, O protector of the earth, owing to those already born, and to those that were being born, the earth became incapable of supporting herself. And amongst the sons of Diti and Danu, cast out of heaven, some were born on the earth as kings of great pride and insolence. What is it saying here? The earth became incapable of supporting herself? Does that sound like, what's his name again? The overpopulation guy. Malthus, right? That's what it sounds like. Is that where they got the idea from? There's no such thing as the earth being incapable, alright? If, for instance, things happen in nature, that there's too many rabbits, for instance, what happens is a disease breaks out and decimates the rabbits. Right? There's a self-correcting, quote-unquote, law that goes into action if the earth ever gets too much. That's Malthus. Malthus. That's where they get this. That's where they get that stuff from. Thomas Malthus, Jax. It goes back hundreds of years. Even then, they were shouting, "Oh, there's too many people!" Fracking ridiculous. Alright, moving on. Possessed of great energy, they covered the earth in various shapes. Capable of capable of oppressing all foes, they filled the earth, having the oceans for its boundaries. And by their strength they began to oppress Brahmanas and Kshatriyas and Vaishyas and Sudras. Alright, they're talking about the Asuras here. Kind of demon-like race, alright? And all other creatures also. Terrifying and killing all creatures, they traverse the earth, O king, in bands of hundreds and thousands, devoid of truth and virtue, proud of their strength. Think of Lord of the Rings, right? And intoxicated with the wine of insolence. They even insulted the great rishis in their hermitages. Yes, that one, Dan. So if you ever meet somebody that says, well, there's too many people on the earth, you can refer them to Thomas Robert Malthus. Yeah. That's where the idea came from. You wonder where he got his idea from. But like I said, it's even here in this text, thousands of years old, right? Maybe, Anon, maybe like Chamiras, because they were talking about all these animals just a few minutes ago, right? Yeah. But don't take this literally, alright? Don't take it literally. You'll get lost. You will get stuck in so many contradictions it's not funny anymore, alright? So be careful. Alright, where were we? Here we are. And the earth, thus oppressed by the mighty Asuras, endued with great strength and energy and possessed of abundant means, began to think of waiting on Brahman. The united strength of the creatures, such as Sesha, the tortoise, and the huge elephant, and of many Seshas too, became capable of supporting the earth with her mountains, burdened as she was with the weight of the Danavas. Somebody mentions in the chat about Georgia Guidestones. Those were apparently put there by a guy named R.C. Christian. Right? That's a joke. You get it? That's Rosicrucian Christian. Don't trust any word that is said there. It's a fracking joke. That's put there. It's put out there for us to talk about. That's the only reason it's there. And then, O king, the earth, oppressed with weight and afflicted with fear, sought the protection of the grandsire of all creatures. And she beheld the divine Brahman, the creator of worlds, who knows no deterioration, surrounded by the gods, Brahmanas and great rishis, of exceeding good fortune, and adored by delighted Gandharvas and Apsaras, always engaged in the service of the celestials. Yeah, Ben Jax, Rose of Christ, you know, that's code, you see? And because, you know, most of us dare call themselves awake, we can break the code, you see? We know it's a bunch of rubbish, all right? And the earth, desirous of protection, then represented everything to him in the presence, O Bharata, of all the regions of the world. Regions, spelled with a capital R here, starts with R-E-G, right? That's of royal descent. You understand? R-E-G. Be very wary, all those words starting with R-E-G. Regenerate. We're talking about royal things, kingly things. Regina. In Dutch, we have this word R-E-G-E-N, right? It means rain. It regenerates the earth, you see? Trying to make us think that rain comes from the gods, right? R-E-G-E-N, it's a Dutch word, means rain. R-A-I-N, not R-E-I-G-N. Although, because the two words sound alike, there is a link, alright? But, O king, the earth's object had been known beforehand to the omniscient, self-create, and supreme Lord. Yeah. The earth's object had been known by quote-unquote Krishna, Vishnu, Rama, Vyasa, whatever you want to call this Supreme Lord. Why? Because he's all-knowing, right? That's people try to confuse themselves by saying, well, if God knows everything, he must know the future. And then they make the fallacious jump to saying, therefore, the future is set. It's all determined, right? No, there is another possibility here. If God knows everything, he knows every possible future. You see? Continuing. And, O Bharata, creator as he is of the universe, why should he not know fully what is in the minds of his creatures, including the very gods and the Asuras? Alright? You may know the plans. What's gonna happen is unknown. O King, the Lord of the earth, the creator of all creatures, also called Isa, Sambhu Prajapati then spoke unto her. And Brahmana said, O holder of wealth, for the accomplishment of the object for which thou hast approached me, I shall appoint all the dwellers in the heavens. What the heck is that? Is he talking about planets or stars? Because the Greeks called them dwellers, right? These points of light that seem to behave strangely. Vaisampayana continued, having said so unto the earth, O king, the divine Brahman bade her farewell. And the Creator then commanded all the gods, saying, to ease the earth of her burden, go ye and have your births in her according to your respective parts, and seek ye strife with the Asuras already born there. And the Creator of all, summoning also all the tribes of the Gandharvas and the Apsaras, spoke unto them these words of deep import. Go ye and be born among men according to your respective parts in forms that ye like. They're talking about our planets here. You see? And all the gods with Indra, on hearing these words of the Lord of the Celestials, words that were true, desirable under the circumstances, and fraught with benefit, accepted them. And they, all having resolved to come down on the earth in their respective parts, then went to Narayana, the slayer of all foes, at Vaikunt, the one who has the discus and the mace in his hand, who is clad in purple. Right, clad in purple. Yeah, purple is the color of death. Who is of great splendor, who has the lotus on his navel. Right, that's the lotus on the navel from which Brahma is born. Who is the slayer of the foes of the gods. Those are the Asuras, the foes of the gods. Who is of eyes looking down upon his white chest. Who is the Lord on his breast. Who is the mover of everyone's faculties, and who is adored by all the gods. Him, Indra, the most exalted of persons, addressed, saying, be incarnate. And Hari, that's another word for Krishna, Rama, Vyasa, Vishnu, replied, let it be. And that is the end of this section. Moving on to a new Parva, Sambhava Parva. We got 17 minutes left, guys. Vaisampayana said, hold on, guys. Then Indra had a consultation with Narayana about the latter's descent on earth from heaven with all the gods according to their respective parts. Yeah. And having commanded all the dwellers in heaven, Indra returned from the abode of Narayana. And the dwellers in heaven gradually became incarnate on earth for the destruction of the Asuras and for the welfare of the three worlds. Alright, so these dwellers in heaven are apparently not planets. They are souls. And then, O tiger among kings, the celestials had their births, according as they pleased, in the races of Brahmarshis and royal sages, and they slew the Danavas, Rakshasas, Gandharvas and snakes, and other man-eaters, and many other creatures. And, O bull in the Bharata race, the Danavas, Rakshasas, and Gandharvas and snakes could not slay the incarnate celestials even in their infancy, so strong they were. Janamejaya said, I desire to hear from the beginning of the birth of the gods, the Danavas, the Gandharvas, the Apsaras, men, Yakshas, and Rakshasas. Therefore, it behooves thee to tell me about the birth of all creatures. Interesting. So you see, humans are put in the same line as gods, Apsaras, Gandharvas, Rakshasas. Vaisampayana said, Indeed, I shall, having bowed down to the self-create, tell thee in detail the origin of celestials and other creatures. It is known that Brahma has 6 spiritual sons: Marichi, Atri, Angiras, Pulastya, Pulaha, and Kratu. And Marichi's son is Kashyapa, and from Kashyapa have sprung these creatures. See, Brahman is the father of us all, you see. And to Daksha, one of the Prajapatis, were born 13 daughters of great fortune. The daughter of Daksha are, O tiger among men, and prince of Bharata race, Aditi, Diti, Danu, Kala, Danayu, Sinhika, Kroda, Prada, Vishva, Vinata, Kapila, Man, Muni, and Kadru. The sons and grandsons of these, gifted with great energy, are countless. From Aditi have sprung the 12 Adityas, who are the lords of the universe. 12 Adityas, lords of the universe? Does this sound like signs in the sky? And, O Bharata, and as they are according to their names, I shall recount them to thee. These 12 Adityas, I'm just referring to them as signs in the sky because there's 12. May not be correct at all, but because they're lords of the universe, right? The universe is ruled by time. That's why I say that. They are Datri, Mitra, Aryaman. Aryaman. Sounds like Ariman from another myth. Sakra, Varuna, Ansa, Vaga, Vivasvat, Usha, Savitra, Svastri, and Vishnu. The youngest, however, is superior to them all in merit. Ditri had one son called Hiranyakasipu. Alright, Hiranyakasipu is one of the incarnations that has to do with the creation of the universe. And the illustrious Hiranyakasipu had 5 sons, all famous throughout the world. The eldest of them all was Pralada, the next was Sarada, the third was Anuharada, and after him were Sivi and Vaskala. And, O Bharata, it is known everywhere that Pralada had 3 sons. They were Virochana, Kumbha, and Nikumba. And unto Virochana was born a son, Vali, of great prowess. And the son of Vali is known to be the great Asura, Vana, and blessed with good fortune, Vana was a follower of Rudra, that's another word for Shiva, and was born also by the name of Makala. And Danu had 40 sons, O Bharata. The eldest of them all was Viprachiti, of great fame Samvara, and Namuchi, and Pauloman, Asiloman, and Kesi, and Durjaya, Ajasiras. Oh my god, we're going to go through a whole bunch of names here, guys. Ashvasiras, and the powerful Ashvasanku. Also Gaganamardan, and Vegavat, and he called Ketumat, Svarvanu, Ashva, Ashvapati, Parvan, and then Achaka. More names, guys. More names incoming. And Ashvagriva, and Shukshama, and Tahunda of great strength, Ekapada, and Ekachakra, and Virupaksha, Mahodara, and Nichandra, and Nikumba, Kupata, and then Kapata, Saraba, Sulaba, Surya, that's the name of the sun, strangely enough, and then Chandramas. These in the race of Danu are stated to be well known. The Surya and Chandramas, here the sun and the moon, see? It says here, open brackets, the sun and the moon. Surya is the sun, Chandramas is the moon. Surya male, Chandramas female. The Surya and Chandramas of the celestials are other persons, and not the sons of Danu as mentioned above. Alright, so they're making a distinction here. Just have the same name, they're not the same souls or living beings. The following 10, gifted with great strength and vigor, were also, O king, born in the race of Danu. Ekashya, Amritapa of heroic courage, Pralamva and Naraka, Vatrapi, Sutratapana and Sata, the great Asura, Gavishta and Vanayu, and the Danava called Dirgajiva. And, O Bharata, the sons and the grandsons of these were known to be countless. And Sinika gave birth to Rahu, the persecutor of the sun and the moon, sun with a U, and to 3 others, Suchandra, Chandrahantri, and Chandrapramardana. What are names, guys. And all the countess progeny of Krura were as crooked and as wicked as herself, and the tribe was wrathful of crooked deeds, and persecutors of their foes. And Danaju also had 4 sons who were bulls among the Asuras. They were Vikshara, Vala, Vira, and Vritra, the great Asura. And the sons of Kala were all like Yama himself and smiter of all foes. And they were of great energy and oppressors of all foes. And the sons of Kala were Vinasana and Kroda, and then Krodahantri and Krodasutra. And there were many others among the sons of Kala, and Sukra, the son of Rishi, was the chief priest of the Asuras. You see, even the demons have priests. And the celebrated Sukra had 4 sons who were priests of the Asuras. And they were what does it say? Dashtadara and Atri, and 2 others of fierce deeds. They were like the sun himself in energy, and set their hearts on acquiring the regions of Brahman. Right? The regions of Brahman means trying to be born on the highest possible planet in this material universe. Okay, I can get into that for a few minutes. Dan says next week perhaps Walter can give us his theories about reincarnation. Alright? He's always saying that karma is nonsense, so I was hoping that he would enlighten us on his position. Alright, so karma is a Sanskrit word, and it means action. However, because of the failed way in which this new age has been propagated, people think that karma means something that's hanging over your head, that's going to happen to you because you did something. That's the only way in which action, the word karma means action, actually comes back. All right? So it's nonsense, karma, in that sense. And it does mean action, but it's not something that's hanging over your head because you did something. Here's how this works. Let's say you are a bad guy and you're punishing your wife because she does not do as you please, right? You're constantly beating her. So what would happen, according to what they claim is the law of karma, is that you would be born as a wife who gets punished by her husband. Right? So how does that work? What does this husband that's punishing that wife who was a bad husband, he gets his karma now. See? So there is no end to this. There is no end to this wheel of karma. That's why they call it a wheel of karma. Right? There's no escaping it, as they say. It also doesn't make sense because if it were true that, you know, your deeds, your actions are being looked over by some gods who then punish you, right, for your deeds, why is Clinton still alive? You know, why is he not rotting somewhere in the gutter? You see? That's what should have happened to people like that. No, it seems more like the more vicious you are, the better you have it in this world. See, that also goes against the whole idea of karma. It's the bad people that have all the influence in this world. And it's the good people who are supposedly having good karma who get the short stick of the end. You see? There are so many contradictions in this whole idea of karma that you have to throw it away. It's useless. About reincarnation, this is a personalist view. I myself am one of the impersonalist view. I think there's life, but that's about it. I'm not sure, and there are logical reasons to the contrary, because, you know, if you ask yourself, is there such a thing as me? Who's asking, right? So, you know, you can actually mirror that and say, well, if you don't believe in the existence of self, who the heck are you asking, right? So that's a bit of a problem, but I don't believe in the existence of a quote unquote soul. You know, the life energy point as is being described in these Vedas. They give all of these absolute properties to the soul, like eternal, always blissful, knowing everything, and many, many other properties. All of these properties cannot be checked. That's why it's also called dogmatic to believe in such a thing as a soul. And as it is souls that are incarnating in this world, that's an idea that I don't stand behind either. All right? Is that enough, Coop? If you have any more questions, just put them out there. Because we're almost out of time. It's 59. This is the end of the show. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll see you guys next week. Take care, you guys.
I think a new world order is emerging.
An inside job? How dare you? How dare you?
To create, so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific